Hi friends, welcome to another great Wednesday night of Missions and Music. I'm so glad that you're here and I cannot wait to get started. You know, last week we learned about our Bible story, about how Mary spent time with Jesus and how Jesus wants us to spend time with him to build a relationship with him. But Martha was working so hard to make everything perfect and got frustrated that Mary was just sitting there. But Jesus reminded her that the most important thing was knowing him and building that relationship with him like Mary chose to do. That putting the time in and making sure that Jesus comes first really matters. That was such a great lesson for us. I'm so glad that we got to learn about it. We even talked a little bit about our new missionaries, George Santiago and Rebecca Hernandez, and tonight we're going to get to learn more about what they do in Puerto Rico and about all the amazing things that God has allowed them to do. So they moved to Puerto Rico in 2017, and George and Rebecca moved there back to George's hometown from where he grew up because they knew that they needed a new church there, and they were going to plant or start a new church in Puerto Rico, in the town where George grew up. He felt God calling him back to that place to share the gospel, the good news of who Jesus is. Well, just a little while after they got back into Puerto Rico, Hurricane Maria happened. And a hurricane is a lot like the weather we might experience here with tornadoes. It's very scary. It's high winds and lots of rain. And it damaged the whole island of Puerto Rico. The hurricane was actually bigger than the entire island. It caused all the electricity to stop and all of the running water to break on the entire island. The entire country didn't have electricity or running water. And that was really scary for a lot of people. And it caused George and Rebecca's plan to change. They knew that they couldn't start a church then, that there was no point. That people were so scared and devastated by all the damage, they wanted to do something. They wanted God to do something to remind the people that he loved them and he cared for them. One of the things they kept saying to each other is, God is bigger than a hurricane. And that's what they wanted to remind people. They wanted to show people that God loved them and cared for them even in the midst of this disaster, all this damage. That he was there for them and he was there to help them. And that George and Rebecca were there to help the people. They weren't just there to build a church, but they were there to share the good news of Jesus in any circumstance. Oh, hey, it's the bell sound. And I got so caught up in talking about all the amazing things that George and Rebecca, all the plans they had, I forgot. It is going to be time to worship. So we're going to learn more about George and the incredible plan and vision that God gave him to what he could do after that hurricane. And we're going to learn about how he used all that damage and devastation to share the good news of who Jesus was with the people of Puerto Rico. But first, we're going to stand to our feet and we're going to worship Jesus together. I'll see you guys after that.
Hey guys, we're so glad you're here to sing and dance with us today.
Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay. From the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky, Lord, I lift your name on high.
Okay, guys, now we're ready for one of your favorites, Tony Chestnut.
Tony Chestnut knows I love you. Tony knows. Tony knows. Tony Chestnut knows I love you. That's what Tony knows. Now faster. Tony Chestnut knows I love you. Tony knows. Tony knows. Tony Chestnut knows I love you. That's what Tony knows. Now let's do it really slow because I know you guys like that. Tony Chestnut knows I love you. Tony knows. Tony knows. Tony Chestnut knows I love you. That's what Tony knows. Now, so fast.
Go as fast as you can.
Okay, ready? Tony Chestnut knows I love you. Tony knows. Tony knows. Tony Chestnut knows I love you. That's what Tony knows. We miss you guys. Bye.
Hi friends, welcome back from worship time. That was so much fun. I love getting to worship Jesus together. You know, before we left for that, we were talking about George and about his wife Rebecca and how they got to Puerto Rico and they knew they wanted to start a church in George's hometown. That they wanted to begin to build a group of Christians that could start this church and reach the people of Puerto Rico with the gospel, the good news of Jesus. But just a little bit after they got there, we talked about how the hurricane hit and George saw that people were in need. The hurricane destroyed so much that the people didn't have electricity or running water. And so he began to look for a need that they could meet. And he noticed that all of the people that they were taking their clothes to wash, but they didn't have washing machines. And so they went to the river. And the river was dirty. And so the clothes were still dirty even after being washed and they began to smell. And he realized that that was just something so simple that people needed, but they didn't have access to. And so he started thinking, what could we do? How could we help people clean their clothes? And so he used some of the money that was going to be used to build the church to buy washing machines because he knew that's what God wanted to do. Now, he didn't know how they were going to power those washing machines because they didn't have electricity either. But he knew that was God's plan. He trusted God. And sure enough, a few days after he bought those washing machines, he got a call from another missionary in Puerto Rico. And that missionary said, "You won't believe this, George. Somebody has sent us generators, devices that provide electricity, because they wanted us to have them to help with the ministry that we're doing." And so he gave a few of those to George, and that was enough to power all of the washing machines that he had bought. And so people would come from miles to wash their clothes in these washing machines. And while they were doing that, guess what George and Rebecca would do? They would share the good news of Jesus with them. They would share the gospel about who Jesus was and is and how much he loves them. George used even this disaster, this horrible thing, to reach people with the good news of Jesus. You know, that can be true of us too. We can use any situation that God puts us in to share the good news of Jesus with. And you know, George and his wife eventually would build a church there in that town, and they would use that church, but first they were going to meet the physical needs of those people. And I think that's such an amazing story about how George and his wife, they trusted God. They knew that God wanted them there in Puerto Rico, and they looked for a way to share the gospel no matter the situation. I think God would like us to do the same too. Well, I've had so much fun learning with you, and I can't wait to see you again soon. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye, everyone.